From the psychology department at the University of Arizona comes a study about happiness and the role that big talk, as opposed to small talk, plays. When we get all existential with each other, when we dive deep into conversations about the things that frighten us to death, or the things that perplex us, or the things that make us truly enthusiastic and joyful and happy, and the risk is always that someone might denigrate us or shame us or laugh at us, and maybe they don't, maybe they do. But the point is we are showing up in all our authenticity and vulnerability about the things that truly matter to us. When we do this, is this what takes us to greater happiness in our lives? And the University of Arizona psychologist Matthias Mell says yes, absolutely. People are by nature meaning makers, and we get sick if we can't find meaning or if we cannot make meaning. People are by nature social animals, and we get sick if we are not able to make the social connections that we need. Big talk satisfies both big needs that come to us out of our nature. Now, that study involved participants wearing electronically activated recorders with microphones on their lapels that recorded 30-second snippets of conversation every 12.5 minutes for 4 days. That just blows my mind. I don't even know how they got to that, but whatever. That's how they did it. Turns out, this is what they discovered, turns out that the happiest people, and they were judged happy based on self-reports and from what their close friends said about them, they engaged in big talk conversations 46% of the time and only 10% in small talk. Now, there's another category of talk implied here, a practical one, which is neither big nor small, primarily about chores. That explains why 46% plus 10% doesn't get to 100%. Now, I know some of you are wondering about that. I know I was not a math major, but that's why that doesn't add up. Just in case you're wondering, I'll continue. As for the unhappiest people, they engaged in small talk more than 3 times as much as the happiest. All that small talk, it left no room for the big talk. Thus, the poem by Guante that we heard from earlier, he is an American hip-hop recording artist and a national slam poet champion. He was talking really fast, but I hope you heard some of those things he had to say. I have never been very good at small talk. Right? I'm always too busy wondering where the interesting scars come from. He said that. Or, I could give them joyful heart attacks. I could Santa Claus their systems. I could rattle off a string of pop culture references or rap really, really fast, and we'd all have a good laugh. But I don't. Nature in us wants us to go deep. Nature in us wants us to have deep fun. It is why congregations like this exist, so that we might be creators together of deep fun. Don't ask what the world needs, says African-American theologian Howard Thurman. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and then go do it. Because what the world needs right now is people who have come alive. I know that our world feels like it's coming apart at the seams. I know that it feels like that these days. I know it. But ask what makes yourself come alive. And go do it. Go do deep fun. Go do big talk. But here's the thing. And I have learned this in plenty of ways, in hard ways, including what is appearing to be an endless career of online dating. Just checking to see if you're listening, that's all. I'm crying inside. I'm smiling, but I'm crying inside. I have learned this the hard way. The intimacy of big talk cannot be forced. It cannot be forced. A person can get way existential way too fast. They can overshare. Or their conversation, and what happens is the conversation partners, they start to lean out. Rather than lean in, their conversation partners start to get fidgety. Those conversation partners start to get that frozen smile on their face. Those conversation partners, they start to scan for the open doors so they can escape. Big talk cannot be forced. I am just not going to expose my deepest enthusiasms to just anybody, because what if they blow my candle out with some nasty comment, some mean joke, some dismissive sneer? Prove to me that you can handle my small talk, and maybe I will enter into big talk with you. Maybe I will, especially as an introvert. I need that proof. I need that proof. If you small talk about my appearance and say that I have lost weight and I have never looked better, are you saying that I used to be unattractive? And did you know that I've been ill and stressed out, and that is exactly why I have been losing all this weight? I'm not going to talk big talk with you. If you small talk about your childhood stamp collection, your pet tarantula, your personal phobias, and you go on, and I have no way of joining you in that conversation because I cannot relate to your extremely narrow enthusiasms that you can't seem to stop talking about, that's telling me something. Not going to big talk with you. If you small talk about all the ways you hate your job and you hate your life and your words are a laundry list of grievances and complaints mixed in with gossip, not going to talk with you, not going to big talk with you. If I'm a person of color and you small talk about how you don't see race, how there's only one race, which is the human race, and you have just denied the singular fact about me that impacts everything, and it gives me joy, and it also makes me, unlike you, a target of racism. Not going to big talk with you. If I'm a woman and I am talking about something, and you are a man, and you start to talk over me about the same exact thing, but you go on and on in your mansplaining ways as if I needed a lecture or a lesson from you, and by the way, I got a PhD in that topic, I'm not going to big talk with you. If you take a topic like faith and you small talk it, you slam Christianity, for example, the whole religion, even though there are many kinds of Christianity, and they run the full spectrum, and you cannot generalize, but that is just what you do. You make small talk out of something that is way too big, not going to big talk with you. And all of this is just so tragic. We exist to get to the big talk. We exist to show each other our scars. Can I hear an amen? Amen. We get sick when we cannot go there. But we have to go through the small talk first, and in the right way. We need to engage well the rituals of small talk, which are going to sound as sweet as the deep fun game that we played just a little while ago when we made that sound of rain. There was nothing intense about all of that. It was a don't worry, be happy experience that we all did together, and it started the bonding process. The sound of rubbing hands together and on, the sweep across the room, and we were together like we were breathing together. And then we sang that song from Mr. Rogers, "Won't you be my neighbor?" Yes, I will. Yes, I will, if the small talk we engage in starts to create that neighborly feeling. Here's another analogy. Think on this. A community is like a house. It has a front door and a foyer where guests are welcome, and that's where the small talk happens. And also it has a kitchen table where the deepest conversations happen. The I can't sleep because I am so worried conversations. The I cannot sleep because I am so excited and terrified and petrified conversations. No one goes straight from the front door and the foyer to the kitchen table. They just don't. Kitchen table conversations are possible because they happen within a container of trust and accountability, and all of that takes a lot of time to build. There's no shortcut to that. Strangers need to start the bonding process first, and then things unfold from there. So yes, I am always too busy wondering where the interesting scars come from. We are. But first things first. Here are some things to keep in mind as we engage in small talk. I never thought I'd be preaching a sermon about small talk, but more important than you may think. First, some folks just dread small talk. They just dread small talk. They worry it's going to be boring, it's going to be awkward, or they're just going to run out of gas. And it is the dread, it is the anxiety that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Anxiety becomes the bottleneck. So bring awareness to your anxiety if this is speaking to you. Breathe into that anxiety. Know that there is a purpose to small talk in this space of beloved community because you want to get to the kitchen table conversations. You want to get there. You want to find the people who are going to sit at that table with you. You want to find those people. The investment is worth it. Breathe into the anxiety. Go do the thing that's going to make you come alive. And then later on at home, treat yourself to some ice cream or gelato. Watch that Netflix movie because you deserve it. You have done something hard. You've done it. You deserve it. I actually want to share a tip that comes from one of the congregants in the first service. He tells a story of Pat Conroy, the amazing writer, right? And apparently when Pat Conroy would meet someone at a book signing or whatever, he would ask this person, "Where do you come from?" And they would say, "New Orleans," and he'd go, "Oh, I've been there." And then Pat Conroy would say, "Oh man, there was just such a good restaurant there. What's it called again?" And the person would go, "Well, it was blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Oh, that's the best food ever." And he would just go on, and he'd never been to New Orleans. And he'd never been to that restaurant. That's just a tip from me to you. Just that you can use that, right? That's a free tip. You can talk to anybody, anywhere in the entire planet. Just use that little tip. Second, know that some topics are just not appropriate for small talk. Even the best intentioned comments about a person's body or looks can go so wrong. If you are a heterosexual man, don't go up to a woman and say, "Hey, you would look so good in a bikini." You laugh, but that has happened here. Don't go there. Other small talk topics to avoid include talk about salaries. How much money do you make? How about idiosyncratic interests that do not bring the other person in because they're just so narrow. They're just, people can't relate. Or how about a steady stream of complaints and gossip? Just not appropriate for small talk. Or what about this? What about random bits of advice? Have you ever been in a small talk conversation with someone who doesn't even know you and they're all of a sudden telling you all sorts of online dating tips? Come on, it's a full circle sort of thing. What I mean is they're giving you advice. They want your life to be better, but who are they to be giving you advice? They don't know you. Have you ever had that kind of experience in small talk? And then there are some small talk patterns that certain folks need to bring their awareness to. Men just have this tendency, science has shown it, a tendency to dominate conversations, and they can just get into that mansplaining mode so easily. White people can just slip into racially insensitive talk so easily. If it happens, and if the people around us in the moment are kind enough to call us in on that, to gently say something like, "Hey, that does not feel good to hear. Let me tell you why." Then let us say we are sorry and learn from it. No need to collapse into a heap of shame. As a straight white male, the flip side of all the gifts I have to offer the world out of my straight white maleness is an entire history of being schooled in ignorance about what it is like to be a woman, or what it is like to be gay, or what is it like to be a person of color. And I'm just going to say stupid things sometimes. I'm just going to say insensitive things sometimes. But we count on the kindness of strangers and friends to help us to learn and grow. A very wise member of this community once said, "If I have a big hunk of spinach right here, between my two front teeth. If I got the big hunk of spinach and I'm walking around, I'm talking up a storm, that big hunk is just hanging out right there, and it's grossing everybody out. Stop me. Don't let me keep on embarrassing myself. Do me a kindness and let me know. And then she says, it is even more kind if you help me grow as a soul, wanting to bring greater compassion and justice and equity into this world. It is even more kind. Let me know if I have given voice unconsciously to some ism in me, which is, we all have them because we're just born in this country. Let me know. Did the ism of racism pop out? Did the ism of sexism pop out? Did the ism of homophobia pop out? Did some other kind of ism pop out? Let me know. Let me know. Be kind. What are the top 3 topics that are small talk no-nos? Top 3 topics. Sex, politics, religion. Okay, just hold on. Just that's kind of ironic, isn't it? Because last thing I heard, we are a spiritual community, and religion, politics, and sex are the most spiritually relevant things there are. That's ironic. So in this space, I would suggest 2 things. When you do not really know somebody, you don't really know their story, what their joys are, their hurts, their scars, you don't know. Go gently. I would advise that always, but in this particular case, especially so. Go gently. Say, for example, they tell you that paganism is very important for them, and you hear that word pagan, and you're just like, argh! There's something inside you that just gets summoned up, and it just turns you right off. You have a knee-jerk reaction to that word. I highly suggest that you do not use this small talk opportunity as a time to build a wall. Don't do it. Go gently. Maybe you can ask them more about what paganism means for them. And you may be surprised that you find yourself intrigued and curious and actually wanting to know more. And maybe there's another way you could respond in a way that exemplifies gentleness. But don't go all instantly cold and condemnatory. That is just not good Unitarian Universalism. It is just not. It is not good. The other thing I would suggest is to remember that the small talk conversation that you have entered into, it's just a beginning. Here at UUCA, in our conversations together, we are not like seatmates on a plane. And we're having one of those conversations in which we bear all in 30 minutes or 3 hours, and then we never see each other again. No, we are in this thing for the long haul. Our memorial garden tells the truth. Tells the truth that UUCA supports us in life, and it remembers us when we are dead. Now that is the long haul. That is who we are. That is what membership means. That is what membership means. It is something very important to remember. If you have hurt another person here, or if you have felt hurt and feel a grudge, better to say sorry. Better to go to that person and say, you have hurt me and we need to talk. Better to do this sooner rather than later. Far better to do this than experience continued pain in this community that is supposed to be a space of belovedness and a space of freedom. Don't feel guilty about the small talk. We are not going to stay stuck in it. It is what puts us on the path to the big talk. So please, talk about the weather. Talk about sports. Talk about your work. Talk about your travel. Talk about your hobbies. Talk about your hometown. Good small talk is like asking, won't you be my neighbor? And the answer you're going to get, if it's good, is yes. And then we go deeper into our deep fun.